Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio in partnership with E360 TV. We provide you with world-class education, inspiration, and hope. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and it is a pleasure and privilege to be here with you today. Our show is A Woman's Prerogative. It is a show we have every week with women joining us from around the world, talking about issues. Some of them are very sensitive, some of them are delicate, some of them are world-renowned, and some of them are just plain goofy. So today, our episode is all about tell it like it is or spare their feelings. What will our panel say? Joining us is the Harley Street stress expert. It's Caroline Heward joining us from London. Welcome.
Hello. Really
hello. Good to see you.
It's always wonderful to be here, especially at this revised time, 7 p.m. UK time is wonderful.
Well, thank you for your flexibility. You know, part of the reason why we did this is because our beloved dear friend who is in New Zealand with the time change, it just wasn't possible for us to all be together. But thank you to the time changing gods, we are all back together. Let's welcome our dear friend from New Zealand, MARISKA. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, and it is lovely to be here and with everyone. To be back.
It's good to be together. It's like having a family reunion. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we do have 3 other team members who are not here today. So we will look forward to having them back at a future time. So before we get into our topic, tell it like it is or spare their feelings, let's go around and give a little bit of information about ourselves. Obviously, for people who've been watching our show before, they know who we are. So maybe just give a brief overview, or maybe there's some brand new people, which we're always getting, and give some more detail as well as anything that you have that's upcoming, that's new, that people can get involved with. Basically, what's the value that you bring to our audience? Let's start with our friend Caroline.
Thank you, Dr. JACALYN. Well, my name is Caroline Heward, and I'm known as the Harley Street stress expert. I help people literally bust their stress. How do I do that? I work with them identifying the root cause of what's causing their stress. So it can be emotional, it can be physical, like physical aches and pains. It could be mental, anxiety, stress, depression, or it could be behavioral. It might be an intimacy or a relationship issue that's going on, or anger management, or something that's just not working in your work, in your environment of your home or family. And some people actually say, I'm not stressed, but then they start saying things like, I didn't sleep last night, I don't sleep very well, oh, my achy back is really killing me, I've got a terrible migraine, and I'm really struggling with my relationship. That's how the stress is manifesting in your life. And I help you break through and identify the root cause of what's causing your stress using root cause therapy and chakra psychology. I've been doing this work for 23 years. So I started back in 2000, and I was based in London, and I had a practice in Harley Street for over 17 years. And I've now relocated very recently to the north of England, and it's very chilly in the north of England. I offer a free consultation on either Zoom, Skype, audio, video, and you can reach out to book that in on +44 if you're international, 07523 if you're local, 120189, or email me on nomorestress@live.co.uk. I look forward to helping you bust your stress.
Yay, bust your stress, everyone. That's what Caroline will help you do. Brilliant. All right, Mariska, over to you where it's morning there in New Zealand. How can you help our audience?
Morning indeed on a lovely Tuesday. Also, Caroline, you are not the only one that has a little bit of a chill in the air. It's supposed to be summer for us, not there yet. Hoping that we will have it at some point. And for those that know me already, my name is Mariska du Preez, and those that do not know me, there you go. And I help leaders to develop. How do we do this? Well, in general, as leaders, we have had a specialization of some sort, and then going to the whole people management area that may or may not be so easy for some. And this is where I help out, to really help us bring a little bit more humanness into our workspace, and also for us to learn how to lead ourselves first off, and then those around us, because the better we understand ourselves and are able to lead from within, the easier it is to lead others. So that is what I do. And well, of course, through training and coaching, and I love working with my engineers and specialists moving into leadership, as well as those leaders moving up in their leadership career and going to the next level, because wherever we transition into a new space, there's always new things to be learned. And if you would love to find out a little bit more, you can do so, well, one, via going to USA Global TV and Radio's platform and look for some Talking Heads episodes. There's a whole bunch of them on there if you would like to get some tips and tricks on there. Or alternatively, you can also contact me via my email, which is mariska@journey2discover.com, or alternatively, go to my LinkedIn page. So, yeah. How about you, Dr. Jacalyn?
Number two, journey to discover. Number 2, yay.
I love that too.
Thank you both. I really appreciate that. So the way that I help people is I can help you be a world-class broadcaster, learn the ins and outs of podcasting, of broadcasting. And of course, this all starts with listening. So I'm super excited because I have been able to publish a number of books in a short time. That doesn't mean that there's not value because they came out quickly, but that's because I'm always on a mission, deadlines, gold stars. So the first book that I have is Mastering the Power of Elevated Listening. A number of people have already picked this up because I see by the sales, they're really good. Take a picture of yourself with the book, please. And we'll feature you on usaglobaltv.com and also drjacalyn.com, and we'll promote you on social media. So in this book, there are case studies, testimonials, and there are 2 quizzes that you can take to see how well you're really listening. We all think that we are super listeners, but friends, I'm here to tell you, it just ain't so. Okay, our newest children's book is also here. It's The Magical Adventures of Lady Ella and Her Superpowered Friends. And our dear friend Caroline is the star of this book. And in this book, you'll see hopefully that there are 2 angels. They don't look like angels though, do they? They look kind of devious. Grace and Hope, there they are. And Lady Ella and the Wizard, we've all been transformed because we have to go and talk to those evil snakes that are in the Congo taking over everything. So each of our books contains a lesson about life and ways to listen better. And finally, we have our children's coloring book. It's also for parents as well. And inside this book, you'll see there are some drawings like Lady Ella, where you can do your own interpretation and color it any way you want. And then we have suggestions, other pages where you can follow what you see above, or you can color it any way you want. And finally, our activity book is coming out in the next week. It will have 25 different activities for children and for parents, anybody who's interested. So look forward to that. Thank you. Okay, let's go on to our topic for today. Tell it like it is or spare their feelings. What do we mean by this? As you know, sometimes we just want to let them have it. And other times we bite our tongue and go, oh, I didn't know you felt that way. Or so let's talk about how and when we might use either of these techniques or some completely different technique or tactic. And of course, Caroline is our resident in-house therapist, so she's able to give us a unique perspective on this. Caroline, let's start off with you, the human being. You, the person, not the therapist, if you're able to take the two apart. So how do you show up when you find out that someone has said something, or you've heard something, or you've learned something? Do you just go right at it and you're direct, or do you kind of dance around the tulips and deliver it in a soft way?
I'm actually currently dealing with a situation right now. And I do have this thing about, if I'm responding and reacting and I'm upset about something, there's something that's going on for me that I have to resolve. And I tend to, not always, but I tend to work out my response and why I'm so upset by it. And when I've done that, go to the other person a little bit more composed. It doesn't always happen, but I'm actually currently in a situation right now when I'm very upset and quite angry about something that's happened. And I haven't approached the person because I am really upset and really angry, and that's not going to be beneficial. And so I'm handling it and dealing with what I'm feeling at the moment, and coming to a place that I'm actually in a space where I'm thinking I'm not really sure that I'm resonating at the same frequency as the other person, and I'm not sure that I want to do any more work with this other person. So that's sort of where I'm getting to. But I actually want to handle what's going on for me, why I'm upset, why I'm angry, what's come up for me, and then speak to the person from a place of composure and a place of intelligence rather than emotion, because at the moment I'm still feeling very emotional, and so I do tend to hold back. And sometimes I don't, sometimes it comes out before I've even stopped myself. But in professional environments, I tend to hold myself back and sort it out myself as to what's not working, what I'm upset about, so I can be very composed when I approach the other person.
I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. That's it's difficult, especially when you are coming from an emotional place. And I'm dealing with some issues like that as well. So we'll have another chat about that in a moment. But right now we have one of our dear friends and team members who's joined us. Let's welcome Dr. Madeline Chan to the program. Hello.
Hey, hi.
Hey, good to see you.
Hi, ladies.
Hello. Yes, the gang is back together. So, Dr. Chan, our topic is tell it like it is or spare their feelings. So let's go over to Mariska. Mariska, do you just give it to them? Boom! How do you like that? Or do you come up with some elaborate way to dance around the topic? Maybe you even reference a friend that you have who's going through something similar and hope that they'll connect the dots. What are your thoughts?
Well, Dr. JACALYN, I don't necessarily throw it in their face. I do take the approach that Caroline has laid out a bit more. So I will first of all work through whatever the thing is that's upsetting me so I can understand it. and understand what exactly it is that is getting me so upset. Because typically for me, what I have found is when I get upset about something, especially if I get really upset about it, it's most likely because there's a value that's been stepped on. And the other person may or may not know that that is one of my values. So first off, some introspection, seeing what the hell's going on for me, and then having a conversation with the other person. Now, as Caroline mentioned, it doesn't always happen that way, because we try and be as mature about these things as possible. And from time to time, if the stepping was hard enough and the value was close enough to the core, there might be a little bit of an explosion happening. And I have also found that if I haven't done a lot of reflection up front, or I've bottled things up, so I kept it to myself for too long, then I do have tendencies of exploding, unsolicited explosions that isn't necessarily related to whatever the person has said or even has done, because there's some other charge behind it that I didn't work through. So typically I try to work through them, as I have noticed that bottling things up does not work really well. And getting them out into the air is a lot healthier for me and those around me. So that's normally the way that I would approach it.
I love it. So when I think of Mariska, it's going to be explosions all over.
Ticking time bomb.
Thank you for sharing that. Dr. Chan, so when you have something that you want to share with somebody, or maybe somebody's doing something that's really getting on your nerves, or maybe you want to end a situation, I already know your answer to this, but do you tell it like it is? Do you go straight to their face, or do you try to spare their feelings?
For me personally, I think what I do is I remain quiet and I don't say anything until the point where I'm pretty much getting boiling up inside, really. Just like what Mariska said, you know, it's like a ticking time bomb. Because I sometimes feel that people have got to learn their lessons themselves, whether that's karmic or they have to learn. And if they don't, then it means that they're too much into their ego and not actually thinking on the whole. So if it gets too much, if it gets beyond where, no, this is really out of order, what I tend to do is I remove myself from the situation, which then they ask, oh, what's happened? Why? They do the what and the why. And when they do this, the what and why has this happened? Where have they gone? Then I can then come back and give the reasoning. All right.
All right. Wow. I was letting that one sink in. Okay. Fantastic. So there's some similarities and there's some differences as well. I would say for me, as I've gotten older, and I'm a business owner, I have to bite my tongue. So I might have to go out in the garage and scream at the top of my lungs, or maybe I'll just write another book. I don't know. But the way that I was when I was younger, I was very direct, which I think is funny. Caroline and I just had a show on Friday, which, by the way, did you see the number of views so far? It's really tremendous. I feel like we made some impact with that. But I was very direct, and I've been told by a few people that I'm high maintenance. I was like, whoa, you have not seen it. You see me in the garage when I'm screaming. But I think I am high maintenance because I have very high standards. But what I've had to really work on is separating myself as a person and as a business owner so that I can see different perspectives. And that's been a journey that's not really, it's something that I have to continuously work on. So my goal is to spare people's feelings and not go out of business. So if that makes sense. So, and outside of the business, I feel that I'm a little more direct, but I approach it by asking for permission. How would you feel if I shared something personal with you, or something's been coming up with me? How would you feel? Blah, blah, blah. So I've also been told, no, I don't want to hear it. And that's great, because then I just go in the garage and start. No, I'm kidding. No, then I just go for a run. So let's look at something from a therapist perspective. Okay. We've been hearing for years that you keep things in, and now that's an invitation to sickness and an invitation to disease. What is it that we're supposed to do? How can we spare people's feelings and at the same time not get sick? Caroline, over to you.
That's a tough one, because it's one that I also have challenges with. And I feel that it's not easy. And I want to pick up on something that Mariska mentioned about values, because this is actually very key. I get very upset when I've entered into an arrangement with somebody from a professional space, and then they're not acting in a professional way. And I can get quite irrational in my responses. And I've had to curb my responses about that irrationality, because I'm only being irrational because it's a value that they've hit. And that's something that when you know somebody's hit a value and crossed a value for you, you'll start responding in all sorts of crazy responses that seem over the top. And it's because we all have a set of hierarchical values. And one of my values is professionalism, and in a space of when I'm entering into a professional relationship with somebody, that I want them to come back from a professional space. And if they don't, and I have hugely high standards about professional work, then it cuts me up and it makes me suffer. So from a therapist perspective, I actually feel that it's very harming. And I still feel, as from the personal space, I don't want to enter into a place of conflict. So I usually sort out what's coming up for me so that I can be rational without too much emotion. But when you hit a value, and anybody will know if a value's being touched, like a boundary value or a professional value, or a value on punctuality, or a value on timing, a value on expectation of entering into a relationship. These kind of things really wind me up. And so I have to almost step back, because if I don't, I'm liable to upset someone. But it does cost me, and it is to my detriment, because I want to make sure that I'm looking after the other person first before myself.
Wow, that's profound. There's a lot to unpack there.
Very much so.
Yeah, who wants to comment on what Caroline just shared? Dr. Chan?
Put me on the spot. Values, I think that's very important. And the fact that you're saying that, basically, Caroline, that you have to maintain a standard that is your brand, that is your worth. And therefore, when people are not adhering to your conditions or your professionalism, then it waters down your brand, and it makes you question yourself as well. Maybe, have I actually communicated this in the right way, in the right manner, on their level of understanding?
What it does for me is, when people cut across professional brand values for me, I actually distance myself and don't have anything to do with them. It usually takes me some time to unravel it, whether it's personal, professional. But if they're not acting in a professional way, it's because one of the things that I really do value is authenticity and integrity. And if somebody's acting out of authenticity, out of their authenticity and out of integrity, it makes it very hard for me to know where I stand with them, because I'm very professional and authentic in who I am and who I'm being. And if something doesn't work, then it affects me in an emotional way. And then I have to handle that from my own integrity, because I don't want to upset or offend them. I don't want to say the wrong thing, but like sort of I'm having to unpack that values. I knew this was going to be a deep subject. I have to unpack, sort of what's going on for me to make sure that I don't just like give it to them, because it might not be their stuff to handle. What it is my stuff to handle, because I'm so upset and emotional. That is my stuff to handle.
I have a comment to make. I appreciate that. We do have some comments from our audience. Maria Eduardo in the house, my friend. How have you been? Nice to have you with us today. Thank you. And she also writes, keep it professional and step back. All right. Okay, thank you. And then we have someone on LinkedIn with Nice. Hello, Nice LinkedIn user. Thanks for being with us today. So the question that I have as a follow-up to what you shared, Caroline, is first of all, for anyone who hasn't worked with Caroline, she's extremely professional. You can count on her. She is loyal as the day is long, and she shows up at the highest level of integrity. So if you have a client, for example, or maybe it's an event that you're going to, or someone you have to engage with, and you think, but based on your experience with them, however narrow that might be at the time, okay, this seems like a good fit. I'm going to go with it. And as you're getting more and more involved, you find out that it's really not. But yet you made a commitment to do something. I know you know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. So what do you actually do? Because you are so professional, do you just carry on and then decide when the commitment's over that you're going to reevaluate?
It's a tough one, because I'm actually going through a situation right now where the person was totally unprofessional in an event that they had organised. And I don't know how to handle it apart from to remain silent until I've got over the emotion. And it does move me to a place of, feeling that it's not authentic, that the person is not coming from their integrity and their authenticness, even though they are questioning your authenticity and how you show up. I'm actually questioning theirs, because then their behavior is not akin with what they expect from others. And I feel that it's okay if you have high standards and you expect the highest level of standard from somebody else, but you have to show up in that same way. And if you don't, then it becomes a challenge, because then it's like, do as I say, not as I do. And I'm a walker, not a talker. I actually walk my talk. And one of the things that really challenges me is people that say a lot, but don't actually behave in the way that they have and say to others that they want them to behave. So this is what I call out of inauthenticity and out of their own personal integrity. And it winds me up terribly. And that is my stuff to handle, not theirs, because they may be getting a wonderful outcome about being inauthentic and out of integrity, and it might work for them. But for me, that relationship, it grinds and it doesn't work. And so when I find the right space to not be emotional, physically, or angry emotionally, I then will distance myself and say, this is not working for me. It's not what I thought it was, what I signed up to be doing. And so I would exit as gracefully as I could. And if I felt it was possible, I would give feedback constructively.
I love this.
Yes.
By the way, for your new song, Bust Your Stress, we're going to include a chorus. I'm a walker. I'm not a talker.
Okay.
I'm not a talker. Yeah. Okay.
I love it.
I love that. We do have a follow-up from Maria. Hello. I love that, Caroline. Totally agree with you. So here's something for consideration, whether it's business or personal. And Caroline, you and I talked about this on the Listening Mentor. You and I have both been ghosted by people. They just disappear. You have the opportunity. If someone's not in alignment with you and your beliefs and your branding, you could just disappear. Just block them. Just don't answer them. Is that a way forward? Or is it best to say, listen, Bob, I just wanted to let you know, you might be completely oblivious to this, or maybe you're aware, but this isn't working between the two of us. And I wanted to let you know I'm out. What are your thoughts about that being a way to handle ghosting or being direct so that you actually are living in your own truth? I don't know if ghosting is living your own truth or being direct to someone. I'm not sure, but let's go to our New Zealand connection. Mariska, what do you think? Pressure.
Yes, absolutely. Lots of pressure following Caroline. Well, first off, I think ghosting for most people seems like an easy out. The problem I have with ghosting personally is that the other person might be, as you mentioned, Dr. Jacalyn, oblivious to the fact that they even did something that, well, I was upset about. And that's why I really appreciate what Caroline said around I need to sort out what is the thing for me first. Because it's my value that's been stepped on. It might not be the other person's value. They might not value it the same way I value it. So for them, it's not a problem. They don't think about it as a problem. The walking and talking, absolutely, Caroline, I agree. If you can't walk it, don't put it as a standard. Because whatever it is that we set, and this is something that I also discuss with my leaders a lot, you are always being looked at, always. And whatever the standard it is that you accept and you display, that's the one that you'll be getting. And if that means that if I'm constantly late for a meeting and everybody else sees I'm late for a meeting, what's going to happen? Everybody else is going to be late for a meeting because I don't value my time. So why should anybody else value my time or value the meeting's time? So understanding the impact that we have is really important. And that's why, for me, ghosting doesn't make sense. It might be that person is in that bubble of unawareness. Now, Dr. Jacalyn, you mentioned earlier asking for permission when giving feedback. So I will ask them first off, hey, I have a bit of feedback that I would love to share with you in ways of improving relationships in a business context. And if they don't want to hear it, fine. They want to stay oblivious, good for them. But then at least I gave them the opportunity to be able to grow from the experience. And I gave myself the opportunity to voice what I needed to voice. And well, then if they decide that that's not something that they are open to hearing, that's all good too. Because as Dr. Chan mentioned, we are all on our own journey. And when we're ready, we will learn our lesson.
Excellent points.
Perfect.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. We've got a follow-up from Maria. I will definitely give feedback, but not in the moment when I'm in my feelings, because it might not go down good. So I'd always think about it, evaluate, then approach. I love that. So when we think about evaluating, this is where I think there's also a fine line. If something happens and I'm going to think it over for 5 months, and then I come back to you and I say, Mariska, 5 months ago, blah, blah, blah. How are you going to feel about that, as opposed to me coming to you and saying, 3 days ago or yesterday or last week? Will it make any difference?
I think it would. Well, for me personally, it would, because if I address it as soon, fairly soon as it happened, once the person worked through the emotional pieces, then by all means. If it happened 5 months ago, was it such a big problem? Would be the thing that I would be thinking. And then again, possibly there was a lot of emotion attached. So the person might have had some few things to work through. I think it might be also related to whatever the topic might have been and the person themselves.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think something that comes up for me, and I'd like to hear what each of you think, is I really set boundaries. And what I mean by that is, please don't come to me and tell me that 10 years ago, this, that, or the other happened, and you're bringing it up now. No, sorry, book closed on that one. I'm not going back 10 years from now. I'm not going to talk about a phone conversation we had 20 years ago. No, I'm not doing it. Caroline, is that unhealthy? And if it is, please feel free to say it is. You will still be on solo screen here.
Well, it's a good question in terms of that person might have been carrying it for 10 years, not knowing how to approach you or what to say, and been suffering for 10 years. And I happen to know, I've got an experience of something that happened to my mum in the family, where one of the other siblings had held on to something. And then when they did express, and it was many, many years later, my mum and her sibling was able to come to some kind of closure. But it was because both people had different views and different experiences of the thing that had caused the rift. And so this happens a lot in families, where you might think one thing, they think the other, and you're oblivious to the other person's perspective. And I would say it's about perspective. And I would openly say, we don't know what we don't know. And we don't know what's caused the person to be upset. And so in the instance of what I've just described, in terms of a family thing, it was all sorted out very easily when the misunderstanding, and I felt that that's what I want to express. There's a misunderstanding, and when there's a misunderstanding, each person has their own perspective and is not aware that there's an issue. And so from that misunderstanding, all sorts of turmoil and trauma and emotion and mistrust can happen, just because of different perspectives. So from that place, I would be open to hear what they have to say. I might not take it on board, but I'd be open to hear, because it's probably from their perspective and not the truth.
Excellent point. Thank you, Caroline. And I think also along with that, and correct me if I'm wrong, in order to be open to that perspective, you would want to have some type of interest in seeing the relationship flourish. If the relationship is dead to you and you are no longer interested, then that person coming to you with something decades old is probably not going to be of value. Is that right?
Well, I believe that when you're not in alignment and you're not in sync with each other, it won't happen. You'll just literally cross each other like this. You just won't connect. It won't happen. It'll be difficult.
I was going to say, Caroline, in the way that it's okay when you say that the answer is not, the resolve or the solution hasn't been because they ghosted you. But let's say if you're too much in your head and everything, that energy is in your head, that means that everything that you do, everything you say, everything that is a new project, because those answers have not been attended to or looked at or answered, there will always be the hole. So when you're building a foundation, if there are gaps, eventually it will collapse. So things do need to be resolved. Things do need to be looked at. Whether or not that person is aware of what they've done, but you have to go introspection to understand have the higher understanding of this at least, rather than just to leave it and put it to one side, because it'll stay in your head. That's what it does.
Caroline, would you like to respond?
I am in agreement in what you're saying, in terms of, yes, it does stay with you, but whatever stays with you is your things to resolve internally. And it's not actually really about the other person from that perspective. It's about, if it's running around in your head and you're upset about something that happened 20 years ago, that is your stuff. Because the other person has moved on, they're doing their own thing. And if something's winding you up 20 years later, then there's got to be some processing and integration on whatever it is that's coming up for you, the person. And I believe everything is connected. Everything is in consciousness. We are all connected energetically, and we're all connected in terms of consciousness. So if you clear up your own stuff and come to a place of inner peace, you then will also naturally clear up the intensity between you and the other person and the situation. So if you do have it all running around in your head, it is yours to handle, not the others.
Let's get out the couch.
Yeah, but what happens, Caroline, what happens if it's not in your head, but it's gone into your energy field, if it's gone into your DNA, if it's actually become stagnant energy? Because you do chakra psychology to remove that.
Yes.
So is this what you're saying?
It will have to come up and release, you know. So, for instance, I've had some bereavements I've not handled, and it's landed up traumatizing physically my body to the point of pain. And so I've had to then handle, once I realized what had caused the physicality of pain, trauma, then I started handling the feelings and emotions behind them. Those were bereavements that I didn't handle. And so, yes, but some people walk around in anger all of the time, because that's, you know, and it's their bag, and it's not just you. You might have done something, but there's an anger thing going on for them, and they will pick up on everybody's anger. Some people walk around feeling entitled, you know, and that's another thing, you know. There'll be something in their psyche, in their energy field, that they felt that they have to be entitled because they didn't get what they wanted when they were a child. And so some people walk around, you know, as if, you know, everybody should be giving them something, and walking around entitled from ego, because there's something that's not been addressed from many, many years ago.
Superb.
Excellent. Thank you, Caroline. And thank you, Dr. Chan. As we're coming to the end of our episode, I'm so sad. I have one more topic I'd like to bring up. And this is actually something that I've had to work through, and I'd like to go around and hear what each of you think. But what I've found in the last few years is there have been times when I'm working with someone, or maybe I'm engaged with someone in some way or another, not in a relationship, engaged, you know what I mean? But I realized through the journey that I didn't really know the person, and that the person's ideas and beliefs are different than mine, and I don't really like them. Doesn't mean I don't respect them. I just don't like them. I don't feel that I'd be sitting across the table having a meal with them, but yet I can't say this to them. So what I have to do is I have to swallow it, and I have to just look for the positives and just keep those personal feelings personal. So from our therapist, what are your thoughts about it? And then we'll go over to our other panelists.
Well, I'll keep this short because we are running out of time. My invitation to you, because it is a professional relationship, is to do exactly what you're doing. Take the good stuff and park the bad stuff, and learn from it. What is it that you're learning from it? What would you do differently next time? And if it's under a contractual basis, you know, when can you get out of the contract quickly is what I would look at from a professional stance. And at the same time, you know, we don't know how anybody is going to be until we either, if it's personal, live with them, or if it's professional, work with them. And then when we've worked with them, we know what works for us and what doesn't. And I would say if it's not working, you're out of alignment in terms of what your values are versus theirs.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Let's go over to Dr. Chan. What are your thoughts about that?
I don't know. I don't have much thoughts about it, really. I mean, I think that you have to address it. For example, if it's a working environment, and let's say there's a whole load of employees and you have this certain job to do and maintain this brand, then you have to think, put differences aside and work collectively because you're maintaining that brand and that appearance. However, if it's personal, then it does need to personally be to contact them and let them know what you're feeling and why you felt that.
Fantastic. Thank you. And Mariska, if this happened to you, how would you handle it? What are your thoughts?
Dr. Jacalyn, you mentioned boundary setting earlier on, and I think that's one of the things that, especially in professional relationships, when we are in personal relationships, we get to know the person, and there's a little bit of a different dynamic in that space. So in the professional space, I think understanding and also agreeing on what our boundaries are and how they work already sets up a good base for us. And then, yes, we will most probably not know all the things that they value, and neither would they know all the things that we value. So we will find out whether that is a fit or not as the relationship develops. So there's a saying about some people are there for a season and some people are there for longer time. So it might be that that person was there just for a season, or maybe a bit shorter than that, as Caroline mentioned. There's a contract, well, the shorter the better. And that's part of the agreements. So understanding what it is that we step into and what it is that we are agreeing on. And then, well, seeing how it works. For some people, in a personal sense, I have family that I know where they got married and it didn't work for them at all. They got divorced and they are still together. So as long as they're not physically married and staying in one house, they can actually have a wonderful relationship. And for even in our work environments, that's sometimes the case. We can work well together with people in some certain circumstances and others not so much. So understanding which ones work for us, and also, as Caroline mentioned, understanding what we work with well, so that next time around, we can actually look for those specific traits. Makes it a lot easier for us then to go into work relationships that does pan out and we love working with those people. And that's what I would do.
Thank you so much. And by the way, as a surprise, we have your family members backstage. No, I'm kidding. No, joke. Wow, this has been a fabulous episode. And I'm hoping that we all took something away from it, because it does happen on a regular basis where you have to make a decision. Do I just let it go, release what I'm feeling, or do I dial it back and deal with it some other way? So let's go around quickly and share our contact information, as well as anything that you have going on that you want people to know about. Caroline?
Well, I'm going to make this really quick. I offer a free consultation on Zoom, Skype. If you're shy, camera shy, audio, phone call, messenger, audio. You can reach me on, if you're international, +44. If you're local, 07523 120 189. And I look forward to helping you bust your stress.
Wow. Woo! Woo! Bust your stress.
Okay, Dr. Chan, over to you.
Well, if you want to be in contact with your creative genius, if you want to know about your inner world from a child, innocence child perspective as well, then call me up, because I can help you with songwriting. I can help you with your voice, express that confidence. I can help you to get you onto your own divine path. So my name is Dr. Madalene Chan, and you can catch me on LinkedIn and also on Amazon, which, you can catch me there, and on Facebook as well. So please do contact me if you find that life is not making sense anymore and you know there's something more that you need to do in this life.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Dr. Chan. And Mariska, over to you.
So if you are a leader or moving into leadership, you are more than welcome to contact me, and we can look at what type of development would best suit you to make sure that you bring a little bit more humanness into your work environment. And you can contact me via my email, which is mariska@journey to, I know Caroline and Dr. Jacalyn loves that, to discover.com. Or alternatively, you can find me on LinkedIn and send me a message, and we can start our conversation.
Excellent. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure having you all here today. I'll just say for myself, this Friday, I'll be teaching Mastering the Power of Elevated Listening to the Cape May County Library Association. So if you want more information, do reach out and contact me there. Okay, we will be signing off. We've got some sponsorships, which are really important because there are different messages that are being provided by people who are really supportive of our platform. And the first message that we have selfishly comes from me. Let's take a look at Lady Ella and her new movie trailer, and we'll be back shortly. Meet Lady Ella, a special ladybug who was trained by Grand Beetle on how to listen at an elevated level. After earning her gold wings, Mother Earth and Father Universe asked her to travel across the solar system, teaching life lessons to creatures to respect one another and to listen. Learn more about her travels in the book series, The Amazing Adventures of Lady Ella. Lady Ella would like to teach you and your family how to listen at an elevated level. If you're interested in learning life lessons as well as how to communicate more effectively as a family, go to Amazon and order Lady Ella's books. They're all there, just waiting for you. This program is brought to you in part by the British School of Excellence and founder, Mr. Philip Sykes, building confidence, changing lives. Do you share our view that etiquette is a set of modern life skills that are essential for personal and professional success? Join us as an etiquette coach and change people's lives through the power of etiquette and manners.
The last few days have been really amazing. I had a trainer course from the British School of Etiquette, and
I must say it's been one of the best decisions I've ever made and one of the best investments I've made in my own training and development.
Now, words alone will not describe the transformation and the positive path that I have traveled with the British School of Etiquette.
I find really I learned a lot from the lessons this time I came.
The last few days with the British School of Etiquette have been fantastic.
And what I've learned now is really beyond my expectations.
This is the most rewarding experience and the best investment I have made this year.
It was just great. I learned so much, and when I go back to Belgium I will incorporate a lot of it into my day-to-day life and business.
It's been absolutely wonderful for the whole week that we were here.
I feel transformed, and I feel like blowing a trumpet and tell people, come and do this school, this class is the best, this is the best school ever.
You should take it. It will change your life immediately.
I am now able to teach other people how to bring the best of them.
Thank you.
Thank you, PREEZ.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you to our clients for their testimonials on the Train the Trainer program. Our exponential and global growth is so significant that we have evolved from the British School of Etiquette to the British School of Excellence, where we're investors in people. Let us invest in you and your career. Contact us to become an etiquette coach. Go to thebritishschoolofexcellence.com. Start your career and elevate your success today.